Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Garrett here. So there are some big changes coming to the channel. Basically, I've talked this over with Lincoln, and it's something I've been thinking about for a while now. As time goes on with YouTube, and as time goes on, and the more my joy of mixed martial arts and watching UFC and watching Bellator starts to really grow, and my own interest in even my own local MMA brand starts to grow, it's got me thinking that the channel is probably going to move more in the direction of being an MMA centric channel. I keep looking down here because that's where my face is, but that's where the camera is. Sorry. But yeah, it's become one of these things where when the channel originally started, it was all just supposed to be about movies. It was all supposed to be about movies, and that was really the gist of what the channel was supposed to be about. Movie reviews, movie-related topics, but then as time went on, things really started to change. The channel started to expand, and it really became more about just doing whatever dumb thing we wanted to do. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't work. Sometimes we would vlog. Sometimes we'd do a podcast, and then it was just seemed to be one of those situations where people might show up for the vlog, but then nobody would watch the podcast. We would do a skit that was just some dumb skit that came to mind, and we just did it on impulse, and people would show up for the skits, but then when we actually, me specifically, would sit down to actually write a movie review and like actually put thought into it, nobody was showing up for it. And so it really seemed like the channel was kind of spiraling out of control, my control specifically, to more just kind of becoming something that I really just didn't want to deal with. I like doing skits and I like doing, vlogs every once in a while. But to tell you the truth, it's really just once it gets to a point where it starts feeling forced, that's when it really stops being fun for me. Because when I do a funny skit and people like it, then it starts becoming, well, when's the next one? When's the next one going to be coming out? And it's hard to put that level of effort into something like that when I've got all these other interests at heart. I love comic books, but I try to put comic books up on the channel and nobody really seemed to care. And with skits, especially with Lincoln having moved about an hour and a half away, it has become increasingly difficult to even really come up with ideas. I mean, we've come up with plenty of ideas, but it's become increasingly difficult to actually implement those ideas and carry out those ideas, because then it just becomes another job. It becomes it starts to feel like work. It starts to feel forced, and that's not really what I want to be the case. I don't want that to be the mood that comes off when we do those things. And so really, and because he's moved so far away now that it just seems unlikely that we'll ever get back into the habit of doing that, because I'm in school right now, it just seems like we'll never really get the time to hang out and really do the things we want to do, like, those things. Because here's the thing, we always say that the channel isn't necessarily something that we want to grow. It doesn't really matter to us if that happens, but at the end of the day, we do want people to watch our videos, because the whole point of making them is for people to watch them. And so with the fact that we started really doing any and everything that we could think of, skits, vlogs, I remember I went and I made a whole video about some backyard boxing matches a while back, and then that really, that was just a one-time thing. But with the way YouTube works, when you start creating so much variable content, then YouTube kind of just buries those things. It kind of just buries it. And so what we're looking for with this change to being an MMA centric channel is just having consistency. I apologize to the people that came for the funny videos, or the people that came or that are actually interested in our opinions on movies and don't really care that much for the MMA stuff. The sports stuff is just not your thing. I'm sorry. But I feel like with where we're at, considering the level of consistency that we're doing right now, it would be very helpful to us. And the channel is still at a level where it's not necessarily so big to the point where a change like this would be detrimental. I feel like it's at right around where it needs to be, and if we don't do the change now, then honestly the whole channel will probably just be retired, because I have no interest in putting myself, doing so much effort writing different types of videos, making all these different kinds of videos, just looking for something that will stick, when I feel like at the end of the day, the best possible thing for me and Lincoln to do right now is just pick the thing that we both mutually enjoy and love, and just talk about it and cover it. And consistency is really just what I'm looking for here. Consistency is key, and so that's what I'm really hoping to do. Hopefully, and then hopefully in the future maybe we'll find an audience for it, because I only see us doing this for so long before we eventually just say, it's just another thing that went from being a hobby to being work, and it's work that doesn't pay. So that's just kind of where I'm at. That's kind of where, Lincoln was kind of more like, oh, well, we should be able to do whatever we want. He's not here right now. I don't have him on the phone or anything, but I already talked to him. I already showed him some of the new designs for the channel arts, and he seems to be on board with the idea, just because it really does seem to be the best thing for the channel, for us and for the channel. So like I said, I'm sorry if this is, I apologize to anybody that actually was interested in those things, but if you enjoy us just as personalities, hopefully that will please you. And this is not to say that we're just going to altogether, stop any kind of creative process we have. I know Lincoln is always writing, stuff. He's always working on projects of his. I'm always in the phase of ideas. I've always got some ideas going on. Whether or not I'm actually going to do anything with those ideas, I'm working on. So really, we're just kind of waiting, kind of putting our ear to the ground, and doing the whole YouTube thing was just meant to be a distraction from real life anyway. So that being said, that's really all I have to say about it. I just wanted to let everybody know that's what's happening. So when you see the new channel art, the new channel name, it's still going to be RUNAMUCK. For anybody that's still interested, it's not going to change rapidly. It's just changing from RUNAMUCK Films to RUNAMUCK MMA. Obviously, you'll notice that when that little icon appears down below. But I'd like to thank everybody for watching the video, sitting through it, listening to all the new stuff I had to say. And I appreciate any of you guys' support, because really without it, there's just, with the little support that me and Lincoln give each other, it really takes a toll. But thank you if you're interested still in the channel, but thank you if you stop by. So have a good one.